It was a busy evening at Le Grand Table, one of the fanciest restaurants in the city. The kind of place where people wore designer suits and sipped expensive wine while soft piano music played in the background. I had just taken my seat by the window when the evening took an unexpected turn. The front door swung open, and in walked a woman who clearly didn't belong, at least not by the restaurant's usual standards. She was older, maybe in her 60s, wearing a tattered coat and mismatched shoes. Her hair was messy, and she carried a worn-out bag slung over her shoulder. The room fell silent for a moment, the clinking of glasses and silverware halting as all eyes turned to her. I could feel the unease ripple through the crowd. A well-dressed manager, a man named Richard, who always looked like he'd just stepped off the cover of a magazine, quickly approached her. His polished shoes clicked loudly on the marble floor as he reached her. "Ma'am," he said, his voice dripping with disdain, "this is a private establishment. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The woman looked up at him, her face calm but tired. "I'm not here to cause trouble," she said quietly. "I just want something to eat." Richard let out a short, sharp laugh. "We don't serve people like you here," he snapped, his words cutting through the air. The woman's shoulders straightened slightly, and she met his gaze. "I can pay," she said, reaching into her bag and pulling out a small handful of crumpled bills and loose coins. It wasn't much, but it was all she had. Richard's eyes narrowed. "Even if you could afford it, we have standards to maintain. Now, please leave before I call security." My heart ached watching the scene unfold. She wasn't causing a scene, she wasn't being aggressive, she just wanted a meal. Yet, Richard's words were loud and cruel, loud enough for everyone to hear. Just as I was about to stand up and intervene, something unexpected happened. "Excuse me, is there a problem here?" A man's voice came from the back of the restaurant. It was calm but commanding, the kind of voice that made people stop and listen. Everyone turned to see a tall, older gentleman walking toward the front. He was dressed in a simple but elegant suit, and his face was kind, with just a hint of sternness. Richard straightened up, his tone instantly changing. "Ah, Mr. Graham, no problem at all. I was just handling this situation." Mr. Graham was the owner of the restaurant, a man rarely seen in public, but respected by all who worked for him. "Handling it, you say?" Mr. Graham said, his eyes moving from Richard to the woman. He stepped closer to her, his expression softening. "Ma'am, are you hungry?" The woman nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "I haven't eaten in 2 days," she whispered. Mr. Graham turned back to Richard, his face now firm. "Is this how we treat people in need? By mocking them and throwing them out?" Richard stammered. I was just trying to maintain the image of the restaurant, sir." Mr. Graham's gaze didn't waver. "The image of this restaurant has always been about kindness and generosity, not arrogance." He then turned to the woman, offering her a warm smile. "Please, come with me. You're my guest tonight." She hesitated, as if unsure whether she'd heard him right. But when he gently guided her toward an empty table, she followed, her face a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. The staff quickly brought out a menu, and Mr. Graham sat with her, chatting softly as she ordered a warm meal. The atmosphere in the restaurant shifted. What had been tense and judgmental just moments ago was now quiet and reflective. When the food arrived, the woman's hands trembled as she picked up her fork. She took a bite, and tears streamed down her face. "Thank you," she said softly over and over again. Mr. Graham stayed with her throughout the meal, making sure she felt welcome. As for Richard, he quietly disappeared into the back, his confidence shattered. When the woman had finished, Mr. Graham handed her an envelope. "This isn't charity," he said firmly. "It's a chance. Inside is enough to get you through the next few weeks. There's also a card with the address of a shelter we partner with. They'll help you get back on your feet." She clutched the envelope to her chest, sobbing. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't need to," he replied gently. "Just pay it forward when you can." As she left, the restaurant remained silent, the lessons sinking in for everyone who had witnessed the event. I glanced around and saw diners exchanging looks, some ashamed, others inspired. That night, Mr. Graham reminded us all of something important, that no one's dignity should ever depend on their wallet or appearance. Kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything. And as for me, I made a silent vow to carry that lesson forward, to never judge so quickly, and to always look for the humanity in others. What do you think about this story? Did it move you? Let us know in the comments below. What types of stories do you want to hear next? Dramatic encounters, tales of justice, or heartwarming transformations? Share your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Don't forget to like this video if it touched your heart, subscribe to our channel for more stories like this, and hit that bell icon to never miss an upload. Your support means everything to us, and it inspires us to create meaningful content. Thank you for being a part of this journey.